Even a king high flush, he could probably just bet bigger on the river. So then what's left is the queen high flush, the 10 high flush. Yeah, no, that was just a complete blunder. As I kind of already estimated, a little bit of a blunder, right? Do you want the best of our proven CFP program without the long-term commitment? Then go over to the site pokerambition.com/mechanics. Also make sure to join our Discord channel and sign up to our newsletter so you don't miss out on any new promotions. Welcome back, guys and girls, for some more poker action on the Poker Ambition channel. Good to have you here. Today we are going to analyze another hand that I played in one of the Wakko shows. It is a little bit of a nitty river call in a spot where I should maybe raise the river. While actually making this video and preparing and bringing up the footage, I actually saw there was another thing that I missed, which, you know, is probably makes quite a big impact on the hand. So, as always, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, leave a comment down below and follow the channel. And without further ado, let me explain you the hand. So this is the hand. We are being dealt 8-9 suited on the button, and we are going to open and FLAWED is going to call. Now, up until I made this video, I was under the understanding that FLAWED called from the big blind. As you can see, Frizzer is or was sit out and is now sit in, which sometimes leads to some confusion. So let's analyze the hand in how it actually went and how I, up until today, thought the hand went. So we see a flop of king 6-5, and as you can see, if you haven't paid attention, like I was explaining a different hand, this seems just like I open the button, the small blind folds, and FLAWED calls in the big blind type of scenario. This is how I played the hand. But the actual truth is, FLAWED actually called in the small blind with the recreational in the big blind. Therefore, we're looking at a completely different range. But yeah, I didn't really think that was the case. So here we flop something very good, so let's call. Great analysis, Wakko. You flop something really good, so you call. So, to go a little bit deeper into the hand, FLAWED check raises, which, you know, he can do still quite often with a quite wide range, as I thought we were playing button big blind. If we're looking at button small blind, it's mainly going to be, I think, king queen, usually with a diamond, I would say. 5s and 6s are very likely. And then for bluffs, he would probably have to go towards an ace-10 or an ace-jack with the ace of diamonds, or maybe an under pair, or maybe a 5-4 of hearts that he decided to call, or a 6-7 of hearts, somewhere along those regions. Maybe an ace-4 of hearts. There's a block. He comes out blocking, which usually when the flush comes in, you kind of reduce your sizing. And I'm considering a raise. 7-8, 7-4. I think a low flush like this is probably just calling. You can hear me talk about the 7-8 and the 7-4. I was considering raising these hands as they still have 2 outs to the super nut, so a little bit more equity than the 8-9. Then I would maybe also raise higher flushes, so like the ace high flush, for example. And I thought kind of these middle flush like this, like your jack high, your 10 high, and your 9 high would probably not raise. I was still under the assumption that I was playing but the big blind, so he would have maybe a hand like 7-8 offsuit with the 7 of diamonds. It's fine to just let that hand realize and do something funky on the river. Obviously, given how the hand actually played button versus small blind, I think actually on the turn he should probably, if he did check raise king queen without a diamond, I would say he now should check. If he had king queen with a diamond, actually I think king queen in general, I think you could make an argument for checking either way. 6s and 5s I think should definitely bet. His bluffs should definitely continue, ace jack and the ace 10. FLAWED now bets the river, 3/4 of the pot. First instinct raise all in. Versus this size, and do we still jam? Do we still jam? That is indeed the question, Wakko. We're all very curious. 3, 4, 7. It's gonna be very hard for him to have lower flushes. We have the 8 and a 9. It's definitely gonna be hard for him to have lower flushes if he's button versus small blind. But you heard me say like some like 7-4 type of hand. So I was looking at lower flushes. And that was basically what I was estimating if I should raise or not on. And spoiler alert, there's a little flaw there.
Just gonna call, I guess.
So I'm calling under the assumption that he doesn't have much lower flushes to call me off. He shows up with king queen, which is interesting. I think again I would, especially the ones without a diamond, like I said, I don't think we want to check raise the flop. I think we want to check the turn and maybe even check the river.
Dubious, 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 dubious. Like he's not calling that hand versus a raise, as it's blocking a lot of my primary bluffs, which are gonna be ace king, ace queen.
And Flusu wants us to not play the sum. And indeed I'm stating that he's not gonna call this hand to a raise as he's blocking my main bluffs.
With a diamond, you can have basically all higher flushes. Lower flushes are gonna be quite hard because they have to be like 7-4 or something. So yeah, not sure. Play the song. Alright, I'll play this song, Flusu. I'll play this song.
Especially for you, my friend.
Chicken song. Actually, you could make an argument that I think again my decision making I don't think has been great today in a lot of spots. Let me reflect. Because I'm thinking about higher diamonds, but king 10, king jack, they all 3-bet, king 9. So actually the lower ones could be king deuce. Is that really check raising though? Yeah, we have to get called by 6s and 5s mainly. Which actually I do think is valid. Yeah. I'm in a nitty mood today. I'm in a nitty mood. Interesting.
Wakko confirmed few player.
Especially because I already raised. I think actually that was just a huge blunder. Especially because I already raised some better flushes on the turn, like an ace-high flush. If he has an ace-high flush, he's probably jamming that on the river. Even a king-high flush, he could probably just bet bigger on the river. So then what's left is the queen-high flush, the 10-high flush. Yeah, no, that was just a complete blunder.
Complete blunder, Wakko called it. Complete blunder. Now we're gonna take a look first if this is indeed a correct blunder. As I stated, we're gonna kind of look at the hand button versus big blind, but I think a lot of the principles will align. This is also, as we explained in our previous video, this is exactly one of those hands that afterwards I already clearly know that it's a mistake. So we're probably gonna look at it more from, again, a mental perspective. Where did we go wrong in our thought process and what is the correction? So let's first take a look at what is correct. We are c-betting 1/3 with our hand. I think that's always gonna happen. And out of position is going to go for a check raise of around half the pot. And we can see that king queen, no diamonds. So the king of diamonds is definitely the preferred one. Okay, so it is check raising king queen without a diamond some of the time. I personally on these kind of boards use the randomizer that if I'm gonna check raise my top pair, I want to have a diamond with it. So like the king of diamonds, for example. But he's kind of all over the place. Didn't expect that, but it's not a very high frequency. Check raises are gonna come more from the lower end. Obviously sets are gonna check raise, and we might find like a 5-4 with a diamond or a 6-7 with a diamond. So a little bit more polarized. King queen is quite a loose-ish check raise. Versus check raise, we're probably just calling. Very sometimes clicking it back, but mainly calling. Turn queen. As expected, we see a downsize. King queen, no diamond is indeed checking as I suggested. I definitely think that is the way better play. As played, if he bets small, we don't raise 8-9 of diamonds all that often. We do raise 7-8 of diamonds and 7-4 of diamonds quite often, as I also stated in game, so there my thought process was correct. Ace-9 of diamonds, actually the ace-high diamonds, we're not check raising all that often. And maybe if we have a pair to go with it, like ace-king of diamonds. No, so I guess we're doing way less raising than I initially expected. I would have probably raised higher flushes. Definitely never raising 10-9 or something, 9-8 more often. Yes. So far, so good. River jack. I will turn off the squares. If he did come to this river again with king queen, we can see quite some checking without a diamond. So again, as stated, I think he should have played his hand differently. If he then bats the river, what is the preferred sizing? So I actually also said that nut flushes might jam, and we can see it doesn't really have big bets all that often, but the ace of diamonds, the nut flush does bet big some of the time. So that I reduced that afterwards in my analysis, I think is fair, but he bet 3/4. And now we kind of have to look what we're going to do. And we can see that 8-9 of diamonds is clearly a jam. Okay, so it's definitely a mistake. Let me see what the EV difference is. We jam and make 44 big blinds and calling. So yeah, this is definitely, as I kind of already estimated, a little bit of a blunder, right? Let me see if we go a little bit lower. 7-8 is sometimes raising small. So the 7-4 of diamonds is actually never raising. So it is actually true that when the flush gets lower, we start to raise less. And I thought in my head that maybe 8-9 was the cutoff point, but apparently it's more the 7 high. That's the cutoff point. Obviously, we're never raising a very low flush. Then if we raise, and this is I think where in my thought process you heard me, I was only focused on higher flushes, assuming that if I jam, he's only going to call me with a flush. And I think that's where my thought process is wrong. We can clearly see that if, for example, I had like king queen with a diamond would have bet, it's now going to call off the raise some of the time. Same with sixes. And I think maybe in practice even more, because if you look at the potential bluffs we have as in position, it's like ace king with a diamond, for example. We can actually see that it's actually not jamming ace king with ace of diamonds. So a potential, I would say, over bluff spot for me as in position. Maybe I had like a6 with the ace of diamonds. No, it's also not jamming. So, especially I know FLAWED personally, and we have at least an aggressive dynamic. So I don't think we're gonna do a lot of hero folding against each other. So I do think he would have been able to put me on enough bluffs to call off a value hand like the one he had. So from that point, I think it's a very big blunder, mainly that I'm focusing too much on, okay, higher flushes, which actually are often 3-bet as well pre-flop. So that's already reduced. But mainly I think the mistake is that I was not really thinking in terms of my own range. Do I have a lot of hands that when I jam, he could put me on as a bluff and therefore call wider? I think that was a bigger mistake. Now, obviously, if he would have played this hand button versus small blind, he would never ever actually have lower flushes. 5s and 6s, though, would become a bigger portion of his range. Same with like nut flushes. So actually, versus the small blind, I'm not sure what I would have done. But I think it's quite close. Probably becomes a call. So maybe I accidentally played the hand correct. But as I stated, I think it's actually more of a mental game mistake. And as we learned in our last video, we have to go through the steps of Jared Tendler, the mental hand history, describe what went wrong in the hand. Well, we didn't make a value raise in a spot that we should have made a value raise. Step 2, explain why you reacted this way. Why did it make sense for you at that time? Well, if the criteria for jamming are he has to call with lower flushes more often than higher flushes, it's indeed correct. What I missed, okay, what is the flaw? The flaw is that I thought about that he would also have other hands that he could call me with. Okay. So what is the correction? The correction that in this kind of spots, I should be less focused on does he have higher flushes than me, but more focused on is he going to pay off, okay, his value bet range, which are also contain 2 pairs and sets often enough in order for me to now make the value jam. That would be a way better question to ask yourself. Okay, so because I asked myself, does he have higher flushes more often than lower flushes? The answer was yes, therefore I called. So the question I asked myself in game was clearly wrong. Should have asked myself a better question. Why is this correct and what can we learn from this? From this again, we can learn how to better shape our decision-making process. Because in the end, guys, the better players, they think about the right things more often than you do, okay? Their decision-making process is better. They're considering the right things. You might consider different things than they are considering. Okay, you might ask yourself different questions than they are asking. They see the spot differently because they ask themselves different questions. So, which question should you ask yourself more often in order to make better decisions? And which questions are you asking yourself too often, which lead to poor decisions? This is the homework for the week that Wakko the teacher is giving to you guys. Now, if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. Take a look at other videos that we've made. I'm sure you will like them as well. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. And make sure to join our Discord community so you can stay up to date with new content, new promotions that we have running here at Poker Ambition. And if you want to know more about Poker Ambition and our services, go over to the site pokerambition.com. Thank you guys for watching and see you in the next video.